A very good evening to everyone. We're back here with the Insaka men. A shout out to all the mothers out there. We salute you. We blow you kisses. In the studio with me tonight is, please introduce yourself, gentlemen.
Victor Mueva here in Chicago.
And Trulio's Pastor Ernest Chongo.
And we're so excited today as we gather to celebrate our mothers. Mamayo, we thank you for what you mean to us and what you represent. And to start, we'll have our community news. The women of the Association of Zambians in Dallas-Fort Worth will be hosting a tea party. Ladies, it's time to come and show off the big hats and the lovely dresses. That is on June 3rd, and it is at $60. Please do not be disturbed by that price. Make it a point to save up for this event if you're able to do so and join the women. It's hats and heels, tea party. Come look pretty and shine bright.
All right.
So trending topics, Brother Victor, what do you think? What's trending?
The Chipolo Polo Legends of 2012, the African champions, will be playing the Barcelona Legends. It's one of those matches I really wish I could be there myself. I grew up in Kitwe, excited about watching soccer just about every other weekend, and it looks like it's going to be an exciting match.
No, we're so what do they call that place in Kitwe? Kuchilata? Or what is it called?
Yeah, actually, I did watch a few soccer matches, Kuchilata, with my dad and my late brother. I mean, the memories are so vivid. It's priceless memories. I never got a chance to watch any matches to Hero Stadium or Independence Stadium, as they called it when we were young. But I mean, I would like to make memories with my daughters to watch Zambia play at Hero Stadium. I want to live that dream.
Wow. Pastor Ernest, what are your thoughts on this game?
Doc, right now as we are talking, I'm actually on the phone trying to look for tickets. I need to fly in. What else? What would you? What else than watching Ronaldinho play right in the backyard?
It doesn't beat that. It doesn't get any better.
No, nothing else. Nothing else.
Well, gentlemen, let me just tell you, on Friday, I had the very great privilege of having lunch with the great Kalu here in Johannesburg. I'm actually speaking to you from Johannesburg, South Africa.
Really?
Yes, what a legend. What a legend. You know, so it was 1 hour of lunch with this great gentleman. The humility he showed is amazing. You know, I sent him a text. I said, Bamdala, I'm in town. He said, let's have lunch. And we had lunch. And he said he might play 30 minutes. I said, is it lack of fitness? He goes, no, it's just making chance for other people. You know, and so
he's got a good excuse.
Yeah. And Doc, let me just say something on that. So you remember Colgate Palmolive, I think, Zambia.
Yes.
We had played soccer with great Carl. That was 1995. There was this, I think we used to play 7-a-side. And Colgate Palmolive had sponsored that, and a few of us were selected from different places, and it was great. The man would be in between, the seven, they both teams, and you would see what we used to watch, on TV. You were right in there playing with him. So some of us were concentrated on his skills than playing with him. So it was such an incredible moment for me to just play with great Carl. I said, this is a dream come true.
But gentlemen, one thing, we're celebrating our mothers today. And guess what he said to me on Friday, gentlemen? The first time he ever started getting paid for playing soccer, he was in grade 11. He used to get 40 kwacha. That's what he said. But one of the things, gentlemen, that he said that I thought that was really interesting is he used to always take 20 kwacha to his mother.
Wow.
20 kwacha na pera wa mayo, iimbi 20 kwacha na sunga. So I think let's keep that as we're talking about our mothers today. You know, those of us that had mothers that lived, until we're older. And of course, my brother, Pastor Ernest, we also acknowledge that you did lose your mom when you were younger. Winnie has something that we wanted to share in terms of community news. I think there's an AIDS walk. Do you gentlemen remember what date? I can't remember the date. There we go. So AIDS walk in New York Central Park, the venue, Sunday, May 21st. I repeat, Sunday, May 21st from 8 a.m. to 1 p.m. If you are in the New York area, please, please, please join in on this AIDS walk. Winnie Musonda Hope Foundation AIDS Walk 2023, New York Central Park, Sunday, May 21st. Please do join and support our sister in her efforts in that regard. Any comments on that, gentlemen?
No, go ahead, Pastor.
Yeah, Doc, Miss Winnie is doing such an incredible job, with the Winnie Foundation. I think we have to really support. So what I wanted to say was that it shouldn't just be, people in the New York area. I think all of us can chime in, and if you can't go there and walk, we can, just send in some, a few dollars here and there to help. She's doing an incredible job. When you look at what she's doing in Zambia, young ladies that she's training through this foundation, I think it will be important for whoever cannot make it to the walk. It's okay for them to just send something in so as to support the cause. Mr. Victor.
Yeah, I'm very big into supporting Zambian charities. I know a lot of times we want to support the big name charities, the World Visions, the Big Brother. I get it. They're very well established. But my view is that Zambian charities or African charities, they're very authentic. They don't have a large overhead where you have to pay for a private plane for the CEO and the like. So I think it's very authentic. You know the person you're supporting, and in some cases, you actually know the beneficiaries of those charities. So kudos, my sister, Winnie Musonda. We're rooting for you, and we definitely support you.
Wow. Winnie, you have our support, and anyone that could send resources, please. I think we might post a link on the Insaka page. Please support that endeavor. Now for the icebreaker, gentlemen, icebreaker. Everybody loosen up, relax. And I just want to do a shout out to Zenith Malao. She's listening to us and has been with us since the first day we started. Zenith, thank you so much for your participation. Zenith, we appreciate you. Bridget Musonda, please talk to us as we have in this conversation. If you're online, please join us. So, gentlemen, what is the most embarrassing thing your mother did?
No.
And this to you. And this could be a mother that is an adopted mother or a blood mother. Let's hear it, gentlemen.
I think for me, it's an embarrassing public spanking. I think a lot of people may relate to that. Growing up, sometimes before you develop a good sense of what's wrong and what's right, I used to pick on my brother, and sometimes just for fun. And so my mother was a very strict disciplinarian, and if you pick on your brother for no cause, I mean, she would actually give you a big spanking. Now, if you have a crush on somebody in your neighborhood and you get a big spanking, I think so it's like, that's my story.
No way. So do you still remember that spanking? Is it memories are still
It's there. It's in my head, and I think it was for a good reason, but I never quite got it at that time. I thought it was mean-spirited, but looking back, I'm like, why? First of all, why did I decide to push my brother into a pool of like dirty water, like just for fun? And she spanked me. I mean, she taught me a lesson never to do that again, and I never did. So.
She spanked you straight to discipline. Pastor Ennis, what do you remember? Embarrassing moment.
Doc, Victor, that was embarrassing. I can imagine. Yeah. But you see, mine was crazy. So here's the thing. I like to eat beans. Okay. And my mother was the best cook of beans. It was just amazing. So one day she had cooked beans and it was on the stove. Then I came back from school and I was super hungry. Then I thought I was the only one in the in the house, but not knowing my mom was actually in her bedroom. So when I walked in, I realized, I don't know where they put my food.
Uh-huh.
All the beans. So
Uh-huh.
then I said, wow. I looked around and I said, oh, there was no one around. So
I think I know where this is going.
I decided to do what a little boy would do. So I
Yes.
said, okay, I think no one is here. So
Yeah.
I took off the lid and then small spoon there. One. I scooped one. It went in. The second one went in. The third one, Mom said, Iwe. Then she was like, no, this is not happening to my son. She whipped me, and I've never forget that. Up to today, I still remember that it was crazy. That was embarrassing, but may our soul rest in peace.
I think she did it out of love, right? Out of love.
Yeah. I think so. It was out. I think everything that moms and mothers do for us, I think it's always out of love, even though sometimes they may not know how to execute it, but truly it's out of love. But
100%.
100%. I've never, done that. So I always realize,
Gentlemen, this is exciting. So I guess hashtag the show is about beans today. We need to break off to a commercial break here in a little bit. I think right now, or should I share my embarrassing story with my mom?
Absolutely. Looking forward to that. Yeah.
You have to go down.
Okay, so when I was in 6th grade, I had a crush on this young lady, and she challenged me. She said, "You're not brave. You can never show up at my house." So I decided to go see her. I kind of snuck out and just to talk to her, nothing sinister. And she came out and we talked. Then the mother came out and saw us talking. It was about 10 o'clock at night. And the mother was so mad. She yelled at me, everything. Then, guys, gentlemen, I was so scared. I was freaking out. I got home, slept, thinking this would die a natural death. The next day, my mom comes to the house and says, Iwe, then guess what, gentlemen? I looked at my mom and I said, change. And for those of you that are listening, it means a young lady is starting to have a period. She's a woman. And my mom looked at me, she said, and I'll never forget the private embarrassment of that conversation. So here we go, commercial break.
Do you run a nonprofit organization in the education, health, and human services sectors? Do you need grant funding for your organization? Or do you need help developing programs to help you raise money for your nonprofit organization? At Vibrant Funding, our mission is to connect our nonprofit partners in the education, health, and human services sectors to the financial resources required to achieve their mission. We support nonprofit organizations based in and operating in the United States and Africa. We offer the following services to new and established organizations: program development, donor engagement and retention, grants, research, and writing. Contact us at www.vibrant-funding.com or email us at info@vibrant-funding.com. Call us at 404-751-6802 to learn more about our services and how we can help you to have an impact on the world. Vibrant Funding, connecting donors and nonprofits.
We're back in the studio. We got some comments going here, gentlemen. I think we're connecting, and we appreciate our audience. Ruth Zimba Kapanza says, "Oh my gosh, the gentlemen are just cracking me up." And Kavesha says, Priska posted that. Anyway, we've got a great show for you today. Let's get into it, gentlemen. Let's get cracking with our first question of the night. And let's have that question come up, and we'll roll. Who is a mother, gentlemen? Let's go deep. Who is a mother? Who is a mother?
I'll defer that to the pastor. Let's see what he's got, and then we're gonna piggyback on that.
Perfect.
Okay, I can go first. If that's okay.
Please go ahead, Victor.
So, without getting into the semantics, personally, I view a mother as somebody who biologically gives birth to somebody. So it's more of a biological situation. But when it comes to a mom, it becomes a relationship that one develops with their child or somebody they are actually nurturing and looking after. So a mother is anybody who biologically gives birth to you. And while as a mom, I think we should celebrate Mommy's Day more than Mother's Day. That's my view. But it's more about a relationship, being there to support somebody, spank them when they do something wrong, and just show them that love. That's the distinction I do have between a mother and a mom.
Oh, wow. Pastor, I think before you jump into this one, Victor, you raise a good point. So maybe what Victor is saying is anyone can be a mother, but not everyone mothers. Anyone can be a mother, but not everyone mothers.
That's a very insightful way of putting it.
Looking at it. Yeah.
Wow. Pastor.
What an incredible definition you've given to us, Mr. Victor Padi, who is a mother. I think I would concur with you. A mother is any woman who is able to give birth, right? But we can't end there without also taking into consideration that there are people who have learned how to relate with other people and be able to nurture and give guidance, give wisdom to people. They should also be considered as their mother figures to some of us, because there are people who grew up with other people apart from the person who gave birth to them, but they've grown up, they've been groomed to be a person of integrity. They've been groomed to be a good man who any woman out there would want to marry and call them a husband. Why? It's because of this woman who took time to train you, to teach you how to become a man after God's own heart.
Well, so gentlemen, today I made a few calls in terms of thanking people, and I see Kakanda says, "What about a stepmother?" We'll get to that in a second. And one of the people I called today was my professor from college. She has never ever had biological children of her own, and I called and I said, "Happy Mother's Day." So to me, a mother is a person that offers love, and they don't necessarily have to have birthed anyone. But it's a place or a person who offers love. Now, Victor, I saw your hand kind of go up on the stepmother question there. What do you have to say about that, Victor?
Yeah, I think in addition to being a biological mother, I think the adoption aspect also comes into play. So anybody who can adopt somebody. Now, coming from Africa, adoption was not such a formal process in Zambia, at least. So you can adopt somebody by just welcoming them into your home. So I think a stepmother is a mother. An adopted a mother is also a mother. And I would like to go a step further, which may even sound un-Zambian a little bit, but also having a pet. There are people who say, I'm a pet mother. I have cats. I'm a pet mother. I have a dog. And over the years, I've really learned to love animals as much, almost close as much as I love people. So yeah, parenting and motherhood, fatherhood, it also extends to adoption as well as, having a pet.
Wow. Now, Victor, so Victor, let's carry on. Maureen Chimba says a mother is a person that gives love. And I love that. So thank you so much, Maureen, listening to us, I believe, from Zambia. Victor, you have taken us to a whole nother level. Did you hear?
He's on devil queen get up a Google, but he can. So talking about stepmothers, I think that's why I say that we can't just end the definition at a person who biologically gave birth to you, because there are other people like stepmothers this wonderful lady that your father has married did not give birth to you, but because of love they nurture you. Because of love they take you as their own child. And you grow up feeling loved in that home. So when we just end at the person who just gave birth to you, I think we're not doing justice to who a mother is. But I think we should extend it to every person that knows how to love. You can only nurture someone because you love them. You can only give guidance to someone whom you know that this person has the potential to come back and be something in society. So you give yourself to that person, give time so that they can be groomed and become a good person in society.
Wow. I think, gentlemen, it's important because of the sensitivity of a space like this, because there's a chance there's somebody who's listening to us today who didn't have a good relationship with their mother. And they might say, Victor Ernest, they might say, Pastor, they might say, why are we even celebrating in a place where it was a place of pain for me? And to you, we say, our hearts go out to you, but then also we hope that in your journey, you encounter the love of a mother, even though it didn't come from a biological mother. We hope that you encounter that in your life. Let's move to our next question, gentlemen. Thank you so much for the audience that participating with us very well. What impact has your mother made in your life?
Oh, that's a very loaded question. For me, my mother has always been present in my life. She was a stay-at-home mom, like most mothers, in the 70s and 80s. She was stay-at-home, so she was always present. I have a particular story where my mother had a very humble educational background. She may have gone up to 5th or 6th grade, maybe 7th grade if I push it out. However, as I was pursuing my studies, she was always there to support me and guide me. I remember one time I was struggling with the word bush. And I'm like, this word, for whatever reason, I didn't know what the word bush meant. And I'm like, okay, I know my mom is not very educated, but let me just ask her. So I asked her, I said, Mom, what's this word? She said, it's the word bush. I'm like, what does it mean? She said, well, it means mumpanga, in a forest and stuff. I'm like, oh, okay. So when I'm reading, I was always going to my mother. And so she really supported me until I reached a level where she could no longer support me, because it was slightly above what she had done in terms of formal education. But I vividly remember one time I was in 9th grade when my mom sat me down and said, son, can you do me a favor? Can you make me proud by going to the University of Zambia? I said, yes, ma'am, I can make you proud. I can go to the University of Zambia. And by the time I finished 12th grade, I was selected to go to the University of Zambia. I did not go there. I had other options to pursue. But when I look back, that drive to try and make somebody proud, that drive, that counsel, that support to try and just make her happy, I'm like, I was trying to make her happy, but along the way, she was doing it for me. So the impact my mom had on my life, even if I have a master's degree, which she never did get, I just shake my head. I'm like, wow, I can't believe she supported me to get to the level that I am. Thank you.
Wow.
Gentlemen, I think it would be appropriate to say, we usually say Otumpunduba na Maya. Maybe we should say Otumpunduba Shtata. Go ahead, gentlemen. Pastor Ernest, do you have any?
Yes, I do. What an incredible woman that my mother was, personally. I think the impact that my mom made, the lessons that my mom took the time to teach me, sit me down. She would, because we are like 3 of us, from my mom, and 2 are girls and I'm the only boy. So my mom would sit me down when the girls are talking to dad. she would sit me down and start telling me all these things, how I should learn how to treat a woman, how I should learn how to be helpful. I should not just be helpful in few things, but she said, you have to know how to deal with people. People are different. Here's what my mom said. She said, people are not difficult. People are just different. That's what my mom said. And I asked the question, said, what does that mean? Then she said, you find that even amongst your friends, you find that this person is different in the way they do things. And she did not only teach me that, but she also said, in case you get married, you should know that your wife is not a slave. You should be the first person to help your wife, even before she helps you. Wow. Be able. So she took me into our kitchen, and she would show me, literally sitting me down and said, this is how you learn. This is how you clean dishes. This is how you sweep a house. In case your wife is sick, you should be able to clean the house.
Yes.
So the lessons that my mom took the time to teach me, the guidance that she would say are still working today. And so for that, I love my mom so dearly. So most of the thing, I think I just said that the lessons that I learned from my mom was incredible.
Can I add on to something? The story I told about my mom was more on the academic side, but I grew up primarily with 4 other brothers. Unfortunately, one of them passed away, so I have 3 other brothers. And so my mom made me feel comfortable in the kitchen. As I may have mentioned, gentlemen, I was cooking for my peeps before I joined the show, and I'm very comfortable in the kitchen. I wake up almost every weekend. I make breakfast. I think I know how to cook. There's a few foods that my kids say, no, we don't want you to cook this. Mommy has to cook it. It's their choice. It's a democracy. But I'm very comfortable in the kitchen. I like cooking. I love cooking. My wife and I cook at least 3 or 4 days a week together. And so my mother normalized that. I used to cook alongside my mother, and it just felt it. I mean, the kitchen is a place of happiness for me, and now it is a happy place for me and my wife.
Guys, let's Brother Victor, you can dance, you can cook. We're starting not to like you on the show now. Pastor, I'm starting to have a little bit of an issue with him, with our friend here.
I think I'm agreeing with you, Doc, because the way the man is all rounded, all rounded.
Pariba mayon debato telabale saine. Pariba mayon debato telabale sa. Pariba mayon debato telabale saine. My mom, I would, to keep it simple and short, my mom educated my heart. My mom educated my heart. I love the way I do. I care the way I do because I got a real education in the heart from my mother, and I'm grateful for that.
Great.
Amen.
Yeah. Amen.
Yeah.
Amen.
Yeah. So, yeah, that's about Joyce. So, gentlemen, are you having fun? Are you enjoying yourselves as we celebrate our mamas today?
Yay!
I think it's good. It's good that we had to have this show. So thanks to the ladies that they had to give us an opportunity, because I don't think there's any other place I would rather be than to be on the show and talk about my mom. And
now, guys,
not only let me actually clarify this, Doc. Not only, the good thing is this: after my mom passed, and it was like, wow, who is going to be there for me? And incredibly, God brought people who did more than my mom did. I'm telling you that from my family members. I'm talking about biological mothers, relative to my mother, from my dad's side, from my mom's side. I have found people whom God just prepared for me. They're incredible people. So I was like, my goodness, if my dad were to remarry, I think I was going to have the best mom again.
So, gentlemen, it's getting tough now. Now we're going to talk about something very delicate. We're going to transition.
Yes, sir.
And the question is going to be up here shortly. And the question is, as a married man, how do you balance the love you have for your mother and the mother of your children?
I think we will need divine wisdom to answer that. So I think Pastor Ernest will please do the needful.
Victor, thank you very much. Doc, Mr. Victor,
yes,
I think to answer that question, the first thing is we have to understand the relationship that exists between a man and his wife. And also to know that after you get married, you give birth to children. A man should never make a mistake to replace the love he has for his wife to that of the children. A wife should always be who she is to you as the love of your life. That way, there will be no difficulties in relating to your wife as well as your children. Your wife should always be the first person, because look at this. What we should know is this: after you give birth to those children, they will grow and they'll go and love other people. But you and your wife, you still remain in the same house. You'll be the two of you in that house. So if you tend to make a mistake of loving your children more than your wife, you are setting up yourself for failure. So it's imperative for us to know that the love that exists between our spouses should be constant.
Wow.
Yes, sir. I think you wanted to say something, Doc.
No, I'm listening. I'm just going, wow. I'm reacting. I'm actually reacting to what you're saying. Wow.
Balance it. Go ahead. How
I was once, not to cut you short, I was once asked a very tricky question that you just alluded to. I'm not going to name who asked the question, but it said, okay, if there was a fire and you had to save your wife or you had to save your children, who would you save? I think I should have declined to respond, but along the way, as you can imagine, I gave a wrong answer. To say, well, of course I can save the children, and because the wife has already grown and she has to be saved by the dad or whatever. But it was a wrong answer. But to your point, the love you have for your spouse should never be replaced with the love for children. Along the way, I made some of those mistakes, and I realized, I'm like, you know what, that's not the right way to do it. Go ahead, Pastor.
Yeah. So, thank you. The correct answer. I know that there will be mixed emotions about this, but the answer that's straightforward is, I would save my wife. And one of the reasons I would save my wife is that I think I would believe God for another child. Okay. It's okay for me to also believe God for another wife, but I think I would believe God for another child. It is very difficult, more especially in the generation that we're in. When God grants you a super good wife, you might as well keep them. Okay. Whereas children, God will still give us more. I know there'll be mixed sounds just like it was for you, Victor. So now let me get back to to balance it. We just have to be the way God is. Okay. God loves every one of us. What determines how we relate with God determines how close you are to God. God loves every one of us, but we determine how much we are going to relate with him. So in balancing it, children have to be taught how to relate to their parents. And consequently, parents should know how to relate to their children, but never to replace the love of their wife, of their spouses, to that of their children.
Oh,
Amen.
gentlemen, I think I'm getting it. I'm getting it. Get ready, get ready, get ready. As Bishop Jakes used to say, get ready. I think the question itself might be faulty. As a married man, how do you balance? You know, when we use the word balance, if we want to go deep in words, we're assuming things almost having equal weight. So
Correct.
when people say you should find balance, I think it's wrong. I think we have to learn how to live in the tension of these two different relationships.
Of course.
Because to assume that we'll find balance means that we're dealing with things that are the same. And the love I have for my mother is very different to the love I have for my mother. So these things are not the same. But what I learned, and I'm still learning, is that idea of finding the tension. Because, you know, there's sometimes even your mom is like, you know, and then, you know what I'm saying? And then you catch yourself going, oh my goodness, you know, this thing is maybe off whack. So I'm gonna plead to our aspiring mothers and also our mothers that are listening, please make it easy for your sons. Liberate your sons from the bondage that sometimes you put on them to feel guilty when they treat their spouses in a certain way. I am fortunate. My mother was one of those people who said, I will never interfere in your space. And she's kept her word. You know, so I don't have that pressure. But I know, especially in a lot of our Zambian culture, some mothers can be horrible in terms of guilt tripping you into doing things for them. You know what I'm saying? At the expense of your own family. So Maureen Chishimba says, I think you cannot balance the love because it's a different love. So you give 100% to each at any given time. Thank you so much, Maureen. We appreciate your support. Gentlemen, as we keep going, unless somebody else wants to crack a whip at this again, Brother Victor, I could see your mind
running.
It's a very, very delicate. I don't want to use the word balance, but I'll use it again. It's a very delicate. Well, let me call it equilibrium.
That's just what came to my mind when.
Because an equilibrium, like what Dr. Msoma said, it's one of those that goes, you know, it's kind of like a seesaw. You're always changing, you're always growing, you're always learning. But the way I look at the biological mother and the spouse, in the Zambian sense, we say Mayoachibili, that's your second mother, that's your spouse. The bond that we men usually develop for our mothers for the first 20 years, 25 years, 30 years is very, very strong. But once another bond forms, it means you're going to be spending less time, less affection, less resources to the first bond. So accepting that transition, it becomes difficult for a lot of traditional mothers. But at the end of the day, I think it's important that we teach even our spouses to say, you know what, our sons at some point, they'll get married. They'll have a significant other. There's a reason why your mother was not the significant other. But now, once you grow up and you mature, you get a significant other. You get a partner. You get an equal in the marriage. And so I think it's difficult sometimes for mothers to let go. Because when they come into the kitchen, they say, well, I cook better than she does. You know, I do this better than this. They want to measure up the daughter-in-law in some situations, not all the situations. They want to measure up to the standard which they had set. Now, when you look at the times in which they set those standards, you look at the dynamics they had to deal with when they set those standards. A stay-at-home mom cannot set a standard for a professional mother. And so those are two different, scenarios. So I think it's imperative for mothers to kind of let go and hope for the best.
Wow.
Doc, can I say something that I've learned
Please.
over the years? You know, I think it's also paramount for a man to have knowledge on how to deal with these two important people in his life. Okay. It's important for me to know this is my mom And as much as she's important, here is where she has to go. She has to go this far. And you also know how far your spouse would go. Because we have to also understand this, gentlemen, that you see, a mom, as good as she is, she can do everything. It's just like our sisters. Our sisters can do everything for us. But I've learned that there's one thing that your sister cannot do for you. And that distinguishes your wife from every single one of them. And that's why she holds that special place in your heart, in my heart. Why? Because of that one thing. My sister can cook for me. When I go back home, most of the time, I go and visit every single one of them. When I go to my sisters, they prepare everything they want to prepare. They can wash for me, they can do this, they clean. But there's something that they cannot do as sisters that can only be done by a good wife.
Mic drop. Mic drop. Mic drop, Pastor Ernest. You landed that plane. So I wish my mother, gentlemen, I wish my mother, complete that sentence however you please. I wish my mother. And maybe Banakateka, welcome. Munkomba, thank you so much. We see you. You joined us on the conversation. Charity Hamatwi, thank you. But gentlemen, I wish my mother. I wish my mother. I wish my mother.
But Victor,
I wish my mother knew just how much I love her. I think sometimes as men, especially traditional African men, we don't show enough affection to our mothers, and we show it in a very different way. We are kind of torn between the Western world and the traditional African world, and so I'm still trying to find that language of love.
We lost Victor for a second, Pastor.
yes, sir. Well, I think we did. He should be coming back soon.
We'll be back soon. Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. So I wish my mom. Number one, I wish she were here to see how much that little boy she would sit down to teach and guide and instruct would do. She actually, I don't think I mentioned this, but my mom taught me how to wash dishes. And do you know what, Doc? Even up to today, when I go back home or when I am in any house that I am, they give me food. Do you know I still wash dishes? I still wash dishes. Ganapuisha inen shembare sink. No.
Why? Why don't you do that?
Why? Because I was taught, okay, that once you finish eating, another person would like to use that plate.
Yeah.
And it's better for them to find it clean than to come there and begin to wash it so they can use it. And then she flipped the thing and said, if you were hungry and you come home and you find all dishes are dead, I think even the appetite would be lost.
That point you made, Pastor, I just had an epiphany today. You know, I was, like I said, I was cooking, and professionally, I try to find efficiencies in the way I do things. I'm a Six Sigma practitioner, so I'm looking at better ways to do things, faster ways to do things in a professional setting. But also, I try to transfer that into a home setting. So as I was cooking, I'm like, you know what? When I'm cooking, I use a knife, I can wash it. I use a plate, I can wash it. So at the end of the day, when I finished cooking, I'm like, you know what? The sink is okay. It's very clean. So I'm like, I just had an epiphany today. I'm like, you know what? There's nobody who says you have to have 10 dirty plates to start washing them.
Wow.
I'm trying to be efficient, you know? I like that.
Well,
Hey.
where's your mom?
Yes, sir. I wish my mother became human sooner than later.
Profound.
You know, I wish my mother became human sooner than later. I think it's taken too long for me to actually know my mother as the young lady who had an accident when she was at Ibenga Girls. And gentlemen, I just recently found out that my mother was brilliant, and she went to Benga Girls, and she had an accident that had her stop school early, and so she didn't finish 12th grade. And the reason why the reason why Victor, she dropped out of school was that Akad in Zambia, they used to put your results in the newspaper. And there was a level of shame that came with the fact that she felt like after her wreck, she wasn't performing to the level she hoped. So she dropped out of school because she didn't want to be embarrassed at that level of performance. I wish I heard those stories sooner than later, because I think the quicker we humanize ourselves to our children, the more our children have that deep sense of connection. And this has started to happen to me and my mom. I'm hearing these stories now at the age of 46, 47. So I wish she became human sooner than later.
But look what she has done. She's raised a doctor.
A champion.
I mean, dreams may not necessarily be fulfilled in our generation, but God will be faithful to fulfill the dreams, maybe in the next generation or the generation after, as has been the case to Dr. Musoma.
Wow. Thank you. So appreciate you sharing that, sir. Appreciate you sharing that.
That's great.
Wow. Wow. Yeah, Winnie says amen. Winnie's in the background there. By the way, gentlemen, it's Winnie's event is what, May 21st, the AIDS Walk. I want to talk about that again.
Yes.
May 21st, right? May 21st. Please support her in New York City. Please support her in New York City. All right, next question. I think we're doing well on time, gentlemen. And we're doing well. How did your mother make you a priority? How did your mother make you a priority? Can I take this one first?
Sure, go ahead.
So my mother was always working. I was born, my mother worked for ZCCM. I have memories of her answering the phone at ZCCM. She was a typist, and she answered, "Hello, good afternoon. Welcome to Nchanga Consolidated Copper Mines. Can I help you?" This Tole was testing it. Anyway, so she worked at the mines, and one of the things I saw how my mom prioritized is that I think she worked to supplement. So you knew that she worked, but then the home base was always taken care of. She always she would line things up. So even though she was a full working parent, you knew that you were a priority, because when you made a request of her, it was always met. So my mom prioritized our home. It was a beautiful place. It was an excellent home. It was a place I was proud to bring my friends to. So I knew that I was a priority. So in that regard. Gentlemen.
Pastor, you want to go?
Yeah, I can go. And I'll try to explain something in addition to my response to this question. My mother made me a priority because I was the only male child that she had at the time. So it was like, whenever she's doing something, there's this boy that she's always looking forward to, to do something for him. But then later on, I learned something very different from my spiritual father, with the gospel. He said that I think parents should not try to prioritize our children over the other. Make sure that your children are cared for the same way. One should never be in a position where he thinks, my mother makes me a priority other than this other person. So I learned that. But, to answer the question, my mom made me a priority. Why? Because I was the only male child that she had.
So nishbari mitumpike ko paro no filete if formule like that, or
not your panon.
Sana.
Shimumbi would say, if you're not tumpida.
So those of you that don't speak the Bemba language, he was saying he was spoiled. Victor, how did your mother make you a priority?
I think my mom did a good job making all the 5 sons a priority. And she had a pecking order to say, okay, the firstborn gets served first, and then the second and the third. So we had a specific structure in which, let's say she makes a meal. The first one to be served would be the firstborn, second, third, and fourth. And she would be the last one to get the portion of what's left over. So she would make sure everybody's got enough. My dad has got enough, and then she serves herself. To me, that's leadership. Leaders eat last. Leaders make sure that everybody's okay before they take care of their own needs. So for me, that demonstration of love and leadership, every single meal made me feel appreciated. My brothers felt appreciated, and that's why we are who we are right now.
Wow, Victor, I hope you were not the last born.
No, I was the second born, but at the end of the day, that was the pecking order. So you roll with that. But the fact is, she served herself last after the last born. So it's like she's the most important, but she's serving herself last. To me, that's a lesson in leadership that I can't see anywhere.
That's servanthood.
Wow. Leaders eat last. Victor, we may discuss that a little bit and unpack it in terms of mental health and the impacts. This is Mental Health Month, and in terms of the impact, selflessness is a good thing, but I think we should also be clear to say that selflessness just means less of you, not none of you. It means less of you, not none of you. I think some women, some of our mothers have paid a very hefty price in this space, where they have totally foregone any of their desires and dreams to serve the other. And so to the mothers that have done that, which most of our mothers did, we thank you. And then it's a good place for us, gentlemen. We've got the last 10 minutes of the show for us to give the next question. And gentlemen, please take your time on this one. We've got about 10 minutes left to finish the show. So, I'd like for you to be thorough in your response. We are offering wisdom nuggets to our daughters on motherhood. Wisdom nuggets.
Doc, you can go on this one.
I go first?
Yes.
Oh my goodness. Wisdom nuggets. Wow. I would say the number one wisdom nugget I'd love to offer my daughter is, I was thinking, as I was flying to South Africa a couple of days ago to Johannesburg, on the flight, I watched the movie about Whitney Houston, I Want to Dance with Somebody. And, one of the things, when I was in 5th grade, gentlemen, I sang Whitney Houston's song in full gear with a wig. I'm so glad that was before cell phones. And I remember singing the song, learning to love yourself. It is the greatest love of all, And, as I was watching Whitney's movie, I asked myself the simple question, did Whitney love herself? Or did she learn that which she was putting out in the world? And so to my daughters, I think the best way for you to, the best way to motherhood for you is ultimately first learn how to love yourself. Because you can only give what you have. If your love tank is empty, you can't fill up another love tank. And so to my daughters, which is Kezia and Olivia, Mapalo and Natasha, I'd say to you, the two of you, learn how to love yourself. Make loving yourself a priority. And then perhaps you could have some to give to the rest of the world. I think that's my wisdom nugget for my babies.
I think they can go.
My wisdom nuggets for my babies, obviously, I want to say that I learned from them as much as they learned from me. I remember, I know this is Mother's Day, but one of the things my dad has always told me is that you can always learn from a child. There's a Bemba saying that says, that means a brick can actually give wisdom to an anthill or whatever material that was used to manufacture that. Now, if I can give some wisdom to my girls, is that you are equal, you are loved, you are equal to anybody and everybody. I think we live in a society where gender is an issue. Sometimes we look at maybe men as being a little bit higher than women and the like. But I want my kids to know that they are equal to anybody and everybody. My girls play soccer, and they are fantastic about it. they probably 90% of the people they play against are guys, and they can take a guy any day, anytime. So I wanna instill that in them to say, look, you can be whatever you want, but obviously at a professional level, that's a whole different story. But at the end of the day, at the U13, U12, you are equal to everybody and anybody, regardless of your gender, race, religion, and ethnicity.
Thank you. For me, the nuggets, I'll pick up something from Pastor Titus. But before I do that, I want to make mention of this to young out there. I believe that every young lady, as they are growing up, they are here to have good husbands. They're aspiring, they're looking for a good man. I think there is something that is lacking is they have not taken time to learn what it takes to deal with a good man. You see, you can get a good man, but if you yourself are not good, it's possible to just destroy the good that God has given to you. So Pastor Titus writes the Apostle Paul writes to Mr. Timothy, and he employs them and say, I want you to teach young women to learn from those older women who knew how to treat other people. So what is the nugget from this? I want young ladies to find women who could mentor them. Women who could take time to sit them down and show them how to treat a man, how to deal with a man, how to handle a man. I think what is lacking right now, like we spoke about last week, is mentorship. If young women could find that as a place where they can draw strength from those women who have grown, who've had experience. The truth is this, Doc and Mr. Victor, there are certain things that older women have gone through that our younger ones haven't gone through. Mm-hmm. So why should I do a research and books and all of that when I can sit my grandmother down? How did you deal with grandpa? If I can sit a woman that God has brought into my life and say, how did you deal with your husband? So I think mentorship would be something that these young ones should take seriously and make sure that they find time to talk to older ladies how they dealt with their husbands.
Pastor Ernest, I think one of our guests that we have, Maureen Chishimba out of Lusaka, Zambia, I think she and her husband have been working in this space. Maureen, please let me know if I'm wrong. We do need that mentorship. We do need that to happen for our young people, not only for our young women, but also for our sons. We need that. We need that. So from you, gentlemen, I'm hearing Victor say, teaching his daughters to not be intimidated by any space, to walk in confidence, in assuredness. And from you, Pastor Ernest, I'm hearing you say, seek out those that could offer those wisdom nuggets. You don't have to live other people's mistakes. You don't have to live out other people's failures. You can learn from that. And then from me, I said, learn to love yourself. Gentlemen, we have, in fact, Mrs. Chishimba has confirmed from Lusaka that she offers that. We have 2 minutes. And from the audience, I just want you all to type things that are coming to your mind as a response or messages, and we can read those out, gentlemen. Can we do that just to wrap up today? Just from the audience. We want to hear from the audience. Type whatever it is that your response or whatever it is we want to put out in the world today. We have 2 minutes. Anybody in the audience, we want to see you in the comments section. Just type out comments, and then we're wrapping it up. As we're waiting for that, any comments from you, gentlemen, for the day? Any comments?
Yeah, I can go first, Doc. I think I would like to take this opportunity and just thank every woman that God has brought into my life, from my biological relatives and those that I've made in the church. My time is mostly spent in the church. So I want to thank every single woman that I have come across. I think they've all made an impact in one way or the other. So kudos to every single woman in the community. I love you so dearly.
Amen.
Brother Victor.
My last comment is let's normalize nurturing. I think Mother's Day should go beyond a specific day, one day out of the year. We need to be able to serve and assist and help our significant others, our parents. We need to honor them every single day.
Wow. Wow. Honor our mothers every single day. Offer love to our mothers. And we offer blessings tonight to every mother, biological, non-biological, adopted, non-adopted. We thank you. We thank you, mothers. Gentlemen, what a day, what a day, what a day. And I think our mothers are proud. Our mothers are proud. It says you have, Mr. Maureen Chishimba says, we have done a brilliant presentation and she enjoyed this episode. Well, Ms. Maureen, it's mothers like you, it's ladies like you that we celebrate tonight. And to all of you that are listening, hashtag Ukukakula, be free. To love is to lead, and to lead is to love. See y'all next time.
Happy
Goodbye.
Mother's Day.
Bye-bye.
Happy Mother's Day. Bye.